Hello everyone, this is Midlife Music Teacher and I'm Mrs. G. And in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about two things that happened when I was in first grade that have kind of affected how I teach today. Let's have a little story time. Let's take it from the top. When I was in first grade, I was pretty small for my age. And without getting into too many details, I remember when I was 5 years old at my doctor's appointment, they weighed me on the baby scale because I wasn't even quite 30 pounds. So now it's first grade. I was 5 years old, about to turn 6, and I was probably about the size of a 3-4-year-old child. And so I was pretty small. And as somebody who has always been small and remains to be small, when you are smaller physically, sometimes people treat you like you're younger. They think that, mentally as well, you're younger. When I was in first grade, I may have looked like a 3 or 4-year-old, but I mentally was a almost 6-year-old. And so that kind of affects how I teach my students. Even though I teach preschool through 4th grade students, I teach special needs students, I never treat students like they're babies. I never speak to them like they are. Of course, I use developmentally appropriate language. My tone of voice is a little bit different when I teach preschool versus grade 4. I don't speak to children like they're babies. That used to happen to me. People used to talk to me like I was a baby sometimes, and it annoyed me. When I was in first grade, especially at the beginning of first grade, I might have been a little annoying myself. There are 2 times when I remember in first grade having an argument with another student. One time was during an indoor recess or free time or something, and I was going to play a board game with some of the kids in the class. And this one little boy told me I had to be the red pieces and he was the blue pieces because red is for girls and blue is for boys. And I said, that's not true. I said, I can be whatever color pieces I want. What if I like blue? What's blue? What if blue's my favorite color? Can't I be the blue pieces? And he said, no, because the rule is blue is for boys, red is for girls. I didn't think that this answer was correct. And so I continued to argue with him. No, I can be whatever color pieces I want. It's not because blue is for boys. So he raised his hand and he told the teacher on me that I was arguing with him and I got sent to the bad kids table. Now, was I arguing? Yes. Was I probably being annoying? Yes. Was I wrong? No, I don't think I was wrong, but he tattled. I got in trouble. There was another incident where we were doing a math paper and I was sitting at a table with 2 other girls who were my friends, and it was a color by number math problem paper. And they were only coloring right where the math problem was. So I told them, I said, you're supposed to color all the way to the edge of the space where the problem is. And they said, no, you don't. That's not how you do it. I said, well, yeah, you're supposed to color all the way to the lines. Like, how are you going to see the picture at the end of this worksheet if you don't color all the way to lines? It was 2 against 1 in that case. They thought they were right. I thought I was right. They raised their hand and tattled on me and told me that I was being bossy or something like that. That's what they said. She's being bossy. So I, once again, got sent to the bad kids table. Again, no one asked me my side of the story. Again, was I being a little bossy and annoying? Yeah, probably I was. But was I wrong? No, I wasn't wrong. And I have never, ever been, never will be, never have been a tattler. And now as a teacher, how I deal with tattlers, because tattling is just something that is an age-old thing. It happened 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago, and it still happens today. I'm not the kind of teacher who just gives in to a tattler. A lot of times how I deal with tattling is I acknowledge whatever it is. I say, oh, yeah, that sounds annoying. But it's not tattle time right now. So I don't know what to tell you. If you want, you can come back at 3:15. 3:15 is tattle time. And this is something I picked up years and years ago, probably from somebody else, but that's how I address tattling. Usually a tattle is someone is being annoyed by something that someone else is doing. Are they wrong? Whatever. Is it affecting their learning? Not necessarily. Obviously, when kids come and tell me something serious, I listen, but tattling, they don't understand the difference. Like, you need to know. They're not doing their paper right, or they're being bossy, or they're just scribbling instead of what, okay, you can come tell me at 3:15. And usually the responses I get for that, tattle time is 3:15, is I'll get kids to say, well, I don't know how to tell time. Oh, well. Or I get, I'll never remember this at 3:15. And I guess it's not really that serious, is it? So I don't give in to tattlers. I never have in my career. It's just because of my experience with being tattled on all the way back in first grade and how that affected me. Getting sent to the bad kids table. I got an N in conduct that year. An N stood for needs improvement. Back, that's how they graded. S was satisfactory, N was needs improvement. I was improving, or U was unsatisfactory. That was how we were graded on things like conduct and this and that. So anyway, I got an N in conduct that quarter or whatever, and my mother was so upset because my parents raised me and my siblings to be respectful and have good conduct, and here it was, I got a needs improvement. And I told my mother the things that happened. Anyway, I can only remember going to the bad kids table those 2 times. So I did much better later on in the school year. I got an S in conduct the last parts of the year. Although I do not know the exact date of when this happened, I know it was early fall of 1981. It was picture day, and this is the picture that was taken on that day. As my mother dressed me up for picture day in a hand-me-down knit dress that my cousin had handed down to me, with its little red and green and white with the little snowflakes on it. My mother put 2 little red barrettes in my hair because it was picture day. And as we are getting ready to go to the gym to take our pictures, my class always lined up by height. Here is a picture of all the classmates in that class. And as you can see from this picture, I was very much smaller than everyone else. So I always had to be first in line. Here we are in the hallway, lined up by height, with the teacher standing in front of us, facing us, waiting to go to the gym. When I hear another teacher, I do not know who this teacher was. This other teacher comes down the hallway, looks at me, and exclaims, "Oh, look at her, how cute is she?" Which then was followed by my first grade teacher picking me up and popping me on her hip and stating, with her face right there in the same place as my face now, "I know, I think she's so cute, I'm gonna hang her on my Christmas tree." And in that moment, I looked down at my classmates, all these lovely people who are in this photograph, standing in a line, staring at me, looking at them, being extremely embarrassed, humiliated. I may have looked like a cute little toddler that you can pick up and pop on your hip, but I was nearly 6 years old. That became burned in my brain. Obviously, I can look back at it now and think it's kind of funny. Again, as I stated at the beginning, I really, really don't think that it's helpful to treat any student, no matter what their size or stature, like a baby. And it's not fair to assume that a child who is physically larger than other children is necessarily more mature. I was quite small for my age, but mentally, academically, and emotionally, I was far more mature. So that's it. That's one of my many, many, many memories of elementary school, and just one of those memories that kind of influence how I interact with students to this day. So with that, we'll end on a high note. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time. Bye.